Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chad with Advising Men. In this video, how to win a fight. So I've got some questions. I've just through a 30 plus year martial arts career, I've always gotten questions about, how to win a fight. What's the best way to win a fight? Teach me some secret move, or teach me one move that's going to win a fight, whatever. And my answer is always the same. No, it doesn't work that way. Totally unrealistic. Just stop. Just go home. So today we're going to go over pretty much the ingredients to win a fight. I don't really believe, the one punch knockout is pretty much usually luck. Guys can be really skilled and do well in a fight and definitely knock somebody out with one punch. But there are mental aspects of it. There are ingredients of it that you need to incorporate and you need to apply to have the highest level of success. I look at fighting in percentages. And so you want to have the highest percentage success rate you can get. And you need to utilize the techniques, the tools, and the mindset that's going to get you to the highest percentage to win a fight and to defend yourself. So I'm going to go over those ingredients and hopefully you'll get something out of it. So the first thing in any fight is for you to decide the fight's going to happen, not somebody else. You need to strike first. That's of utmost importance. If something's going to go down, no matter what the situation is, if something's going to go down, you have to be the one that strikes first. You don't want to sit there and wait and, try to do, block punch, whatever. No, this is reality. You strike first. So the minute you decide the fight's going to happen, and that's very key, is that you are able to make the decision, this is going to happen. There's no way out of it. There's no talking my way out of it. There's no walking away, no nothing. This is going to happen. Then you need to be able to make the decision, the fight's going to happen and I'm going to go. And you go. No matter what. You're always the one that strikes first. And that is going to give you an instant advantage. Okay? Now, number 2 is when you strike first, you want to use a higher level of force. So if you want to talk about like levels of force, say punching, kicking, elbows, knees, knife, gun, pistol, rifle, baseball bat, frying pan, whatever you want to talk about. There are ways to use higher levels of force as you go through stuff. Okay. Law enforcement has a force continuum and there's all kinds of different arguments about that I won't get into. Basically, you need to use a higher level of force. And so say it's hand to hand. Okay. If it's hand to hand and you've got punches and kicks, what are your most devastating techniques to use? It's going to depend on your range. It's going to depend on a lot of things. And that's where you need to get and have consistent training all the time. I'm not somebody that advocates here, I'm going to put out some videos and you just learn these videos and practice these techniques and you'll be fine. Doesn't work that way. You have to train consistently. Now you can get a video instructor. I will be putting some videos out. You can get with a buddy and you can practice the techniques. But there's nothing like live fire, nothing like live training. And it's very important that you find a place you can get that. So I always just look at my video on the best martial arts. I lay out in that video, I'll tag it on this, but you can watch that video and you'll know after watching that video what school you need to go to in whatever town you're in to start learning and practicing with live drills and live partners, live sparring. That's very important. So you're raising the level of force. So if the guy's punching you, or you're punching him, he's come back with punches, you guys can punch each other all day. But if you can lock him up and start ramming some knees in vital areas, or you can catch him with some elbows, then that's going to be raising the level of force. You're going to be hitting him with harder objects. If somebody's punching you and you back out, you can kick. Kicking is harder than punching. So you're You're looking at ways to raise your level of force. Honestly, if I'm in a situation where I have to get in a fight, if there's something laying around, I'm going to crack them over the head with it. I mean, that's, I'm there to win. I'm not there to play around. We're getting this thing done and getting it done quick, and I'm getting out of there. So, if the guy's coming with punches and kicks and you see a chair, then chair bashed over the head it raises the level of force. So you have to start thinking realistically. You have to start thinking about like real life. And if you're someone that's never been in a fight and you've never even had an argument, that's great. That's fine. But I'm talking about the part of the world that you may not have experienced before, but it does exist. And you really need to come to the realization that evil exists in the world, bad people exist in the world, and it's only getting worse. So you need to learn how to defend yourself and your loved ones. So when it comes to a situation like that, raising the level of force, if it means I pick up a bottle, I pick up a chair, I pick up something and use it, shouldn't have messed with me. Maybe you should have picked somebody else. That's the only answer I got for you. Okay? So number 2 is raising the level of force. Number 3 is be relentless and aggressive. A lot of times I see, like, jiu-jitsu, whatever, guys are not relentless with their attacks. And they're not aggressive enough. And so it doesn't work for them. It ends up getting reversed. Same thing in reality. When you're in a real altercation, if you are passive, if you step back a lot, if let's take that. Moving back, okay? Offense wins fights. Defense doesn't. Offense wins fights. So if you're stepping back, it's harder to defend yourself. In a real life, in the street. I'm not talking about in the ring. I'm not talking about a kickboxing match where you feint back and throw a hook or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about reality. You moving back is not usually a good idea. You moving forward into the opponent and causing damage, that's the way to win fights. So you always want to be on the offense when you're in a fight. And offense means being aggressive. And then when you get in there, you're relentless on those attacks. Just relentless. You don't stop. You're getting scraped, you're getting hit, you're getting pulled around, whatever. You do not stop. You keep going until that threat is terminated. You have no more threat. Guy's knocked out or whatever, and you have the ability to get out of there and to run, get away from the situation as fast as you can. Okay? So be relentless, be aggressive. Then as you're doing that, as you're striking, as you're raising your level of force above theirs, you're being relentless and aggressive. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to attack vulnerable areas. Okay? You don't need to punch the guy in the chest. You don't punch the guy in the arm. You don't kick him in the hip. Okay? Those are not vulnerable areas. You have to think about, if you're going to strike, you have to strike the areas that are going to do the most damage. Okay? So in the face, you got the eyes, you got the throat. You basically, if you're punching the head, you want to cause the brain trauma. You want that brain slapping up against the skull. And as that slaps up against that skull, that brain's going to go, we're done. And you're either going to get a knockout or it's going to be so disorienting to the guy that you're able to overwhelm him. But if you're going for the head, you want to hit that head so hard with a higher level of force that brain is slapping up against the skull. And you're disorienting or knocking out the opponent. If you're going to the body, you don't want to punch him in the chest. Very seldom do you ever want to try to punch him in the stomach. I mean, yeah, there's liver shots and all that, but I mean, I'm freaking kneeing him in the nuts. I'm going for the groin. I'm going to do as much damage as possible, and I'm going to get as much reaction as possible. One of the things to think about when you attack vulnerable areas, you get bigger reactions from people because you're hitting soft targets. So you punch somebody in the eye or poke somebody in the eye, they're going to cover up because it's a vulnerable area and they don't want it damaged. Human nature, human reaction is to cover up, is to protect. You go for the groin on somebody with a knee, You think they're just going to keep on fighting like nothing happened? Watch an MMA match. They have steel cups on and they get tagged with a foot in a kick and they drop right to the mat and get 5 minutes to recover. So think about doing that with no cup on. Very important that you get these things in your head, that you really start realizing this is what I need to do to win fights. So you're attacking vulnerable areas at all times, okay? So let's go over. It's a very short list. Number 1, you strike first. You never wait. You decide when the fight happens and you start it. Number 2, you're using a higher level of force than they are. Think about objects around you, okay? I'm not condoning, shooting somebody or stabbing somebody or anything like that. But, I mean, you have to do what you have to do. I'm just saying, have a higher level of force than they have. Number 2. Number 3, be relentless and aggressive. When you fight, you're relentless. You're just like a dog on a bone. You do not stop. And you're aggressive, and you go and go and go until it stops. And then on number 4, you're attacking only vulnerable areas. Only vulnerable areas. Do as much trauma as fast as you can to get the fight over with. Okay? So those are the steps in winning a fight. And make sure, guys, that you're looking around and watch the video that I tag on this about the best martial arts. Make sure that you're looking around in your town, wherever you are, and you're finding some place to train. You have to get into this stuff. This isn't like one of those deals where you're like, oh, I'm not into that stuff, or I'm just not a violent person, or I'm not blah, blah, blah. No, everyone should have some type of martial arts training, some type of ability to defend themselves. Everyone should. Every adult and every kid, if every kid took martial arts and they had to start martial arts when they're 5 years old, think about it. I mean, really, think about it. We'd have a whole lot less problems in this world. If every woman carried a gun, we'd have a lower crime rate, lower rape rate. We'd have a lot of women out there able to take care of business. So, I condone everyone training and learning how to defend themselves in whatever way that they are comfortable with. But you have to train. You have to go somewhere and actually feel another human body so you can spar and you can drill and you can actually apply the techniques. Okay? Very, very important. So watch for the next video. I'll tag it here on the best martial arts and find a place in your town. But don't forget, strike first. Use a higher level of force. Be relentless and aggressive at all times, and attack only vulnerable points. And that will help you win a fight. Thanks, guys.